Alrighty guys, hello. This week I'm bringing you Seto Kaiba's 40 card deck profile. I said last week I would do it when I did the Yami Yugi or the Yugi Moto deck profile. So here we are with Seto Kaiba. So the first cards in this deck are, clearly you cannot build a Seto Kaiba deck without this card. 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. I feel like I don't have to explain it, but I'm going to explain it anyways. Blue Eyes White Dragon is a light level 8 dragon normal monster with 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense points. This legendary dragon is a powerful engine of destruction. Virtually invincible, very few have faced this awesome creature and lived to tell the tale. Obviously, I'm playing this I'm going to play it in 3 of the original art in Ultra Rare, all from the same set. They are all from the Mega Tin, the Kaiba Mega Tin, which is just awesome. Next, I am playing Obelisk the Tormentor in the blue art, again, to make the decks feel authentic. We do play them with as accurate as we can, so I do play it with this art. And in case you are a bugger, here you go. There's the actual playable art. Obelisk the Tormentor is a level 10 Divine Beast monster with 4,000 attack and defense. Obviously, again, Divine Beasts require 3 tributes. So when this card is normal, while this card's on the field, he cannot be targeted. Is he unaffected or cannot be targeted? He cannot be targeted by spell or by any effects. So he's like the most accurate god card we have access to, because the other ones, Slifer and Ra, are not untargetable. Obelisk is the only untargetable, which means he's the only kind of good Egyptian god card to kind of want to use. But his other effect is if you have 2 other cards in the field, you can tribute them, and then you can destroy every card your opponent controls, but Obelisk cannot attack that turn. So that's pretty cool. Obelisk Tormentor. You know, you can't have a Kaiba deck without him. He's pretty cool. Next up, everyone's favorite banned dragon. We have Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End is a dark, level 8 dragon effect monster with 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense. He cannot be normal summoned. He has to be summoned in the same way as Blacklisted Soldier Envoy at the beginning, which is you banish 1 light and dark monster from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can pay 1,000 of your life points. Both players discard every card in their hand and destroy every card on the field, and then your opponent takes 300 times the number of cards sent to the graveyard by that effect. So it's pretty crazy. His effect's pretty damaging. The only issue with the card is it does destroy him. If I'm correct, the original version does not destroy him. And he was errated and still is banned. So Chaos Emperor Dragon, this card is a major turning point, as you saw in the duel between me and Garrett on Versus about 2 weeks ago. This card was very powerful. It did win him the duel. Next up, I play 1 copy of Luster Dragon number 2. Luster Dragon number 2 is a wind level 6 dragon normal monster with 2,400 attack points and 1,400 defense points. This dragon feeds on emerald. Enchanted by this monster, even when attacked, few people live to tell of its beauty. It's a great card there. He plays this card in the KC Grand Tournament against Siegfried. Next up, we have Kaiser Glider. This card is a light level 6 dragon effect monster with 2,400 attack points and 2,200 defense points. Cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster that has the same attack. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, target 1 monster on the field. Return that target to the hand. Pretty cool. Kaiser Glider was used in Waking Dragons against Darts and in Duelist Kingdom in Battle City against Ishizu. Pretty cool. Next up, we have the awesome Alexandrite Dragon. Alexandrite Dragon is a light level 4 dragon normal monster with 2,000 attack points and 100 defense points. Many of the Tsar's lost jewels can be found in the scales of this priceless dragon. Its creator remains a mystery, along with how they acquired the imperial treasures. But whoever finds this dragon has hit the jackpot, whether they know it or not. Pretty cool. I love this card. Very powerful dragon. Next up, we have 1 copy of Vorse Raider, classic Kaiba. A lot of the cards in here are like, oh, it's classic Kaiba, you know? So this is a Vorse Raider is a dark level 4 beast warrior, normal monster with 1,900 attack points and 1,200 defense points. The wicked beast warrior does every horrible thing imaginable and loves it. His axe bears the marks of his countless victims. Quite a brutal card text for Vorse Raider. Next up we have one Luster Dragon number 1, or Luster Dragon. Luster Dragon is a wind level 4 dragon normal monster with 1900 attack points and 1600 defense points. A very beautiful dragon covered with sapphire. It does not like fights but has incredible high attack power. Yes, it does. 1900 attack points. A lot of the monsters in this deck are normal monsters with quite high attack points, so you are going to notice that this deck is full of beaters. That's just how Kaiba plays. Next up, we have another classic Kaiba card, La Jin, Mystical Genie of the Lamp. La Jin is a dark, level 4, fiend normal monster with 1800 attack points and 1000 defense points. A Genie of the Lamp that is at the beck and call of its master. Pretty cool. Usually this card would be played with Ancient Lamp, but I found that Ancient Lamp clogged because you usually have him already, so I do not play both. Finally, another classic card here. I don't know why I said finally there. Battle Ox. Battle Ox is an Earth level 4 Beast Warrior normal monster with 1700 attack and 1000 defense. A monster with tremendous power. It destroys enemies with a swing of its axe. Classic Kaiba. This card was used in Battle City. I only have it in here because I couldn't really think of anything else to put in. Ryukushin Powered is a dark level 4 fiend normal monster with 1600 attack and 1200 defense. A gargoyle enhanced by the powers of darkness. Very sharp talons make it a worthy opponent. This is one of my favorite cards too, so pretty cool. A newer card to be thrown into this deck, just because I noticed the deck did not have enough Blue Eyes White Dragon support. I do have Assault Wyvern in here. Assault Wyvern is a light level 4 dragon effect monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can tribute this card, special summon one dragon type monster from your hand or graveyard, except Assault Wyvern. So essentially your main target for this card is probably a Blue Eyes White Dragon, but you could go for anything else like Luster Dragon, Alexandrite, or Luster 2. You could do whatever. You do you. Next up, we have another classic Kaiba. Kaiser Seahorse is a light level 4 Sea Serpent effect monster with 1700 attack and 1650 defense. This card can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a light monster. Obviously, that's for your Blue Eyes White Dragons. And he's got a nice number of attack points too, so he is pretty viable. One of my favorite cards in this deck is Blade Knight. Blade Knight is a light level 4 warrior effect monster with 1600 attack and 1000 defense. While you have 1 or less cards in your hand, this card gains 400 attack, so we can go up to 2000, which is really good. If you control no other monsters, negate the effects of flip summon monsters destroyed by battle with this card. So if this guy attacks into like a morphing jar and you have no other cards in the field, negated the effect. So pretty cool. Again, one of my favorite cards in this deck. So next up we have Kaiba's equivalent to the Alpha, Beta, Gamma. We have X Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z Metal Tank. His light machine unions. Each one of them is a light level 4 machine effect or machine monster. X Head is a normal, and Y and Z are union effects. X Head has 1800 attack and 1500 defense. A monster with a mighty cannon barrel. It is able to integrate its attack. It attacks in many ways by combining and separating with other monsters. Y Dragon Head. Once per turn, you can either target one X Head Cannon. You can either target one X Head Cannon you control, equip this card to that target, or unequip this card and special summon it. A monster equipped with this card gains 400 attack and defense. Also, if the equipped monster will be destroyed by battle or card effect, destroy this card instead. It has 1500 attack and 1600 defense. Pretty cool. Z Metal Tank. Once per turn, you can either target one X Head Cannon or Y Dragon Head you control. Equip this card to that target, or unequip this card and special summon it. A monster equipped with this card gains 600 attack and defense. Also, if the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, destroy this card instead. 1500 attack and 1300 defense. Actually, in my personal machine deck, I do play 3 of him, 1 of him, and 2 of him. So that just gives you a little insight of my machine deck. And these guys obviously merge to form the XYZ Union Fusions, which we will get to in a bit. Finally, another amazing classic card. I don't know why I keep saying finally. Lord of Dragons is a dark level 4 spellcaster effect with 1200 attack points and 1100 defense points. Dragon type monsters on the field cannot be targeted by card effects. And the last classic monster in this deck, the last monster in this deck is Soggy the Dark Clown. Soggy is a dark level 4 spellcaster monster with 600 attack and 1500 defense. This clown appears from nowhere and executes every strategy move and executes very strange moves to avoid enemy attacks. Pretty great, pretty good. Next up, we have one Monster Reborn. Again, we went over this card. This is a very common card you're going to see in the character decks. Monster Born, special summon one monster from either player's graveyard. Pretty cool. Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards. Pretty simple. Polymerization, fuse monsters together. It's pretty simple. Alright, so classic card here. Enemy Controller. It's a quick play spell card. Activate one of these effects. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Change that target's battle position, or tribute one monster, then target one monster your opponent controls. Take control of that target until the end phase. Pretty classic card. I think this card was introduced in Battle City, and it's just been kind of a Kaiba staple ever since. This card is to match with your Lord of Dragons, your Flute of Summoning Dragon. Special summon up to 2 dragon-type monsters from your hand. Lord of D must be on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. No one in my group calls him. No one here at Cardcast calls him Lord of D. We all call him Lord of Dragons because that is how you're supposed to say his name. So yeah, pretty cool, classic card. This card is to match up with all your dark monsters and your crush card virus. Shrink. This is a quick play spell card. Target one face-up monster on the field. The original attack of that monster is halved until the end of this turn. Again, that is to combine with your crush card virus, which I will go over in a bit. He has a lot. Kaiba has, I think, 2. Yeah, only 2. I think he has 2. Yeah, there's 2 spell trap combos in this deck that you can really pull off. And every time you pull them off, they're just so nostalgic to pull off, and they're really cool. Next up, we have Ring of Defense. This is another card that you will combine with a trap card, which is the Ring of Destruction. When a trap effect that inflicts damage is activated, make that effect damage 0. So, for example, when Ring of Destruction would destroy your opponent's monster, it inflicts damage to you, so you can negate that effect, and then its second effect will activate, damaging your opponent. I don't remember if the damage effect happens to them first or you, but you can negate that with Ring of Defense, which is a quick play spell card. Next up, we have Soul Exchange. Target one monster your opponent controls. This turn, if you tribute summon a monster, you must tribute that monster as if you controlled it. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. Pretty cool. It's easy to get rid of your opponent's good monsters, like if your opponent has, like, I guess, Valkyrion on the field or something like that. If we take Yugi into example, you can tribute Valkyrion on one of your monsters for, like, Blue Eyes or something. Or if you have 2 cards and your opponent has 1, sack off their monsters and yours for Obelisk. So, pretty cool card. Again, a card that I think that was introduced in Battle City first. Next up, we have Lullaby of Obedience, one of my favorite cards in this deck. Pay 2,000 life points and declare 1 monster card name. Your opponent looks at their deck, reveals one of the declared monster if there is any, and they apply one of these effects. So just remember that you don't get to choose which effect happens. Your opponent does. Add it to the hand of the player who activated this card, or the player who activated this card special summons it to their side of the field in attack position, ignoring its summoning condition. So, for example, the way you'd want to do this is, when we play this card, we actually ignore the bottom effect. It just adds it to our hand, the way that we play it, because it makes things kind of boring. So you can play this, I guess, call Slifer, and then if you're playing against Yugi, you can add Slifer to your hand, which is pretty good. So you really have to know your opponent's deck for this, but if we're playing character decks, it's pretty obvious what card you'd be calling out, like the Winged Dragon of Ra, or Red Eyes Black Dragon, or whatever you want. One of my favorite cards. Cost Down, another card from Battle City. I think he used this card in Duelist Kingdom, I think, once. I could be totally wrong. I know that Pegasus played this card too. So, Cost Down. Discard 1 card until the end phase. Reduce the levels of all monsters in your hand by 2, even after they're summoned. So you could turn Blue Eyes into a level 6, making him only 1 tribute. You could take Luster Dragon or Kaiser Glider, make them level 4s, so you don't have to tribute for them. A lot of really smart combinations you can use for this deck, and you can even send something you don't want in your hand to the graveyard. All in all, this card can be a win-win or it can be a win-lose. It really doesn't matter, but as long as you're getting easier summons with this card, that's all that matters, right? We have 1, Silent Doom. Silent Doom. Target 1 normal monster in your graveyard, special summon it in face-up defense position, but it cannot attack. So if a Blue Eyes is in your graveyard, you can special summon it back with this, but it can't attack. But then next turn you can turn it into attack position. It makes a bigger wall than if it was just in defense mode, but it is a very classic Kaiba card to me. So yeah. We have one of the few last spell cards we have here is Wing Beat of Giant Dragon. Return 1 level 5 or higher dragon-type monster you control to the hand, and if you do, destroy all spells and traps in the field. So that's really easy for board wiping if you want. And if you just want one of your dragons back in your hand, then it's an easy way to bring them back. There are a lot of really cool combos you can pull off with this card. None that I can remember off the top of my head, coincidentally, right now. But it is a really great card to play. And the final spell card we have in here is Ancient Rules. This is just kind of to throw back to Duelist Kingdom days when you could just summon whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted. Special summon 1 level 5 or higher normal monster from your hand. So your Blue Eyes White Dragons. Or I guess you can do Luster Dragon too. That's another target you can do for that. But your main, I don't think you're ever going to use that on Luster Dragon number 2. You're only ever going to be using this on like your Blue Eyes White Dragons. Get them out without having to tribute. And you can still have a normal summon if you haven't summoned that turn yet. So Ancient Rules, just a really, really, really fun card to play in this deck. Next up we have a very classic Kaiba card. We have Crush Card Virus. Should be 1 dark monster with 1,000 less attack points. Sagi's the only one that has base less than 1,000, but you can use Shrink on almost all of his other dark monsters to lower them below 1,000. So that's why Shrink is an important card for this deck. You can play Shrink on Vorse Raider, shrink his attack points down, and then use Crush Card on him, and then he can become a good Crush Card target. Target 1 dark monster with 1,000 less attack points. Your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn after this card resolves. Also, you look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and if you do, destroy the monsters among them with 1,500 or more attack points. Then your opponent can destroy up to 3 monsters with 1,500 or more attack from their deck. So the way that we play that card is you don't have a choice when you're sending monsters from your deck to the graveyard. Because it says can, so it's, for example, if you're playing this, like, I guess, I don't know when you'd be playing this in like a tournament, but you'd be like, oh, I want to play Crush card. All right, get rid of... Maybe you have a Kaiju in your hand. There you go. There goes your Kaiju. And then your opponent, like, if your opponent has something they want, I guess in a way that's paying your opponent back. Because I guess if you're playing, like, Dark Lords, then I guess I don't know. If you're playing Dark Lords, I guess it's a good reason for you to want to get rid of the extra 3 from your deck. But that's only if your opponent is, I guess, kind enough for you to play Crush Card Virus. So... Again, it's just a classic card. I played in that classic purple art instead of the orange art. So, next card is Ring of Destruction. During your opponent's turn, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is less than or equal to their life points. Destroy that face-up monster, and if you do, take damage equal to its original attack, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage you took. So you'd use Ring of Defense on the first half of the effect that stops you from taking damage, and then when your opponent would take damage, they would just take the damage. So for you, pretty much got off scot-free. But you can only use 1 Ring of Destruction per turn. So, I mean, that doesn't really matter how often you're going to be playing more than 1 copy of this card unless it's in, like, a character deck. But, again, Ring of Destruction, classic Kaiba. Another very classic card is Negate Attack. I don't think I need to explain this one, but I'm going to do it anyways. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack until the end phase. I was going to do something funny there, but I decided not to. That's why I paused. Shadow Spell. I don't know when Kaiba used this in the anime, but I know he uses it. I know it's just like it's referred to as a big Kaiba card, so I don't think I ever remember him using it. But you guys can tell me in the comments if I got that wrong, if he did use it. Shadow Spell is a continuous trap card. Activate this card by targeting 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 700 attack. It also cannot attack or change its battle position. When it leaves the field, destroy this card. So I guess it's kind of like a mix of what Spellbinding Circle did in the anime. With what I guess it does now, except the only issue is it doesn't negate an effect. It's still a really fun card. You can turn Dark Magicians from 25 to 13. So, or not 13, from 25 to 18. So it makes them pretty weak. So it does weaken cards. It does stop them from attacking. So this is a really, really good card to be playing. I do like it. Final attack orders. This card we played with a really weird errata, only to see if we can get the duel to be really interesting. But I decided not to tell you guys what the errata is because I'd never play with that errata again. But Final Attack Orders is a continuous trap card. All face-up monsters on the field are changed to attack position, and their battle positions cannot be changed. So essentially, your opponent, you have to, if you have a face-up monster, it has to be in attack mode. I guess the whole reason why it's called Final Attack Orders is it's supposed to be the card that finishes the duel, so you can't have cards in defense mode. So I guess Big Shield Guardian, Mystical Elf, all those big defensive monsters from Yugi's deck just kind of go down the drain. I think in the anime effect, I will actually tell you guys what the anime effect was because it was really crazy. Essentially, both players chose 3 cards from their deck, and then sent all the rest of them to the graveyard, which was crazy. So it was like, this is the end of the duel now. You have to choose something, otherwise we're gonna lose. You know, I did like it a lot. It was a really crazy card in the anime, but I can see why they took out the keep 3, send the rest to the graveyard effect from this card. So I think the last trap card in this deck is Interdimensional Matter Transporter. Target one face-up monster you control, banish that target until the end phase. So that's essentially to keep whatever monster you want on the field. So if you want to save like your XYZ or your Blue Eyes, you can banish them for a turn and then bring them back at the end phase. So it's just a really good way to save your monsters from destruction. Next up, I do play one copy of each of the XYZ fusions. So I play one copy of XY, of XZ, and YZ. XY Dragon Cannon is a light level 6. They're all light level 6 machine fusion effects. XY requires X Head Cannon and Y Dragon Head. XZ requires X Head and Z Metal. And YZ requires Y Dragon and Z Metal. XY has 2200 attack and 1900 defense. XZ 24, 21. And YZ 21, 22. So XY, where is this effect? Oh yeah, sorry. You can discard one card, then target one face-up spell trap card your opponent controls to destroy that target. XZ, you can discard one card, then target one face-down spell trap card your opponent controls to destroy that target. YZ is you can discard one card, then target one face-down monster your opponent controls to destroy that target. So, oh, and you have to summon them. They must first be special summoned with their listed materials. So you can't do like King of the Swamp to get these guys. And they're all contact fusions, which is great, so you don't need polymerization for these guys. But none of them can be special summoned from the graveyard, which I guess makes sense. So those are the XYZ fusions. And then the final XYZ fusion is XYZ Dragon Cannon, which is a light level 8 machine fusion effect that requires X Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z Metal Tank. Again, it's another contact fusion, so you don't need polymerization for it. Once per turn, by discarding one card from your hand, destroy one card on your opponent's side of the field. I think this is, I believe if I'm right, I think I have two versions of this card that say otherwise. I believe one of them says once per turn. This is a very old version of the card. This card has 2800 attack and 2600 defense, so it's pretty cool. And the final card in this deck, the big boss monster other than Obelisk and Blue Eyes, which it does require Blue Eyes, is Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is a level 12 light dragon fusion that requires Blue Eyes White Dragons in triplicate, and it has 4500 attack points and 3800 defense. So again, this is kind of the big target of your deck. If you want to be nostalgic, you really want to summon this guy. Again, he's pretty much the big bad of the deck. But yes, that's, I mean, other than Blue Eyes Ultimate, that's pretty much it. So, thank you guys so much for watching this character deck. If you want to see more character decks or more character deck duels, make sure to tell us in the comment section below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and yeah, we will see you guys this week for the podcast. See ya.